see astronaut Jessica Meir EV-1, or Spacewalker 1, egressing the hatch now, flying about 267 statute miles over the Indian Ocean.
It's an exciting day. It's a historic day. In fact, it's the first ever spacewalk done by an all-female crew. That's happening live right now. You see that on one screen, and then on the other screens behind us, you're seeing this thing called Astrograph, which is the world's first crowdsourced space traffic monitoring system. Every dot is a human-made object in some orbit around the Earth. Out of the 26,000 objects that we currently track, only about 2,500 to 3,000 objects are things that work, and everything else is garbage. The line that you see there is the actual orbit of the space station. So that dot represents where those great female astronauts are currently located and doing their spacewalk activities. Nothing is protecting these astronauts from a very small piece of debris penetrating one of their suits, so the pollution could actually be fatal. The way that I really got interested in space, after I graduated from high school, I enlisted in the US Air Force, and it was my job to guard nuclear missiles in Montana. During my night shifts, I'd be out in the middle of nowhere, just looking up at the sky. I'd see these dots of light go by, and it's like, it's not a plane, it's definitely not a shooting star. What could those things be? And then it all of a sudden clicked. All of those dots going by are human-made objects orbiting the Earth. How many of these objects are we really talking about? About 500,000 objects, ranging from the size of a speck of paint all the way to the size of a school bus, are orbiting the Earth at different altitudes, crossing each other's paths. I'm calling myself the first space environmentalist using that title. One could say that space is becoming more and more polluted because these objects don't have any meaningful function in terms of providing services and capabilities. What you see here is a distribution of some of these things. Anything orange is something that works, anything else is something that doesn't. The cyan dots are things that are intact satellites but have stopped working. The pink, we don't know if it's intact, if it's a shard. You can see kind of the string of pearls of pink objects there. Unfortunately, they all came from a single parent object. So just a few months ago, there's a rocket that blew up. All the pieces from that breakup are actually visible there. What contributes to this stuff? So these aren't just whole satellites. Once things get old, they get brittle. Glue's not meant to last forever. Things delaminate, things break up. Worse yet, some people might destroy their own satellite on orbit, and that creates more stuff. India very recently decided that a demonstration of them being a superpower was to blow up one of their satellites in this low Earth orbit. China has done it, the US has done it. What we want is for people to say, hey, if I want people to see that I'm a space superpower, I'm gonna behave in a way that is sustainable, I'm gonna be transparent. That would definitely say, yeah, superpower. Blowing your own thing up in orbit, not really superpower material in my opinion. Bullets are small but can do a lot of damage because they're going really fast. So imagine a speck of paint, small mass, traveling at 10 times the speed of a bullet.
Yeah, man. No, don't wait for us. Man down! Man down! Explorer's been hit.
When it comes to the movie Gravity, even though things might be overemphasized, we should take it as a word of caution. It's very possible for humans to suffer loss of life because of some interaction with some of this pollution. We can certainly see, whole missions that might be rendered useless because of collisions in space. This happened in 2009, and Cosmos is this dead satellite. Cosmos couldn't get out of the way. Yowza. We have evidence of satellites that all of a sudden have stopped working. It's not unreasonable to think that these things could have been penetrated by one of these kind of random bullets in space. More and more of the services that we depend on are going up into space and becoming space-based services. If we lost certain space services and capabilities, it would actually knock us back kind of into the Stone Age. there's a lot of capability that we just wouldn't be able to do anymore. Position, navigation, and timing services, right? Location services, I think all of us use that. Those keep track of planes, they keep track of boats, they keep track of lots of stuff. How about things like weather? Warnings that tell you days in advance bad stuff's going to happen. There are satellites that route banking information and transactions. Financial transactions are time-stamped with time services provided by these satellites. Imagine going to the bank and trying to get money and you not finding the ability to get that. And these are precisely the things that could be lost if the wrong sort of events happen on orbit. We don't have any traffic rules for things in space. Put something up there and kind of do whatever you want. It's like no man's land up there. That is a big gaping hole in terms of safety, security, and sustainability. We don't have any space traffic rules that everybody has agreed to. The guidelines are just suggestions of how to behave, but they're not legally enforceable. And so this is where we really need to see action in terms of different countries making this law. But at the same time, if you have a law and you want to enforce it, you can't enforce what you don't know, and you don't know what you don't measure. What I want to do is I want to create a taxonomy, a classification scheme. Just like we have a taxonomy for living organisms, I want to come up with a taxonomy for human-made objects in space, so we have different species of objects living in different habitats, which would be orbital regimes. The 26,000 objects that we track is just 1% of what we should be worried about. These are wicked problems at global scale. That's why I'm here doing this talk, to raise a little bit of awareness of the problem that we face, the same stuff that we're doing to the oceans with the plastics, we're doing to space. And what I'm saying is that I'm not enough. And we need help. We need more people engaged in working in this stuff. If we can make space predictable and transparent and based on the monitoring, be able to hold people accountable to their behaviors, that'll definitely help get to a space domain that is safe, secure, and sustainable, and we don't get there without collaboration.